Welcome back, guys. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm audible as well as visible. Very crucial session. Please don't sleep. I hope you have had your dose of coffee, tea, whatever to keep you awake. Okay, so before the break, we had discussed about Article 358. That is how during the proclamation of national emergency on external grounds, that is due to war or say external aggression, article 19 gets suspended automatically. The right becomes dead. What's the meaning of this? Right becomes dead. This means that the right does not exist. Does not exist. The right is dead. Now we look at Article 359, which is slightly different. Here, the rights are not dead, they are alive, rights are there. The only thing is that during emergency, you will not be allowed to approach the courts to get the benefit or for the protection of certain types of rights. That's the only advantage. So, this is it with respect to Article 359. I hope people have joined, and let's begin our session now. So, just like 358, we have 359, wherein if emergency is imposed on any ground, does not have to be on the grounds of war or external aggression only, but on any ground, be it war, be it external aggression, or be it an armed rebellion, any ground, then the president can issue a specific order, a presidential order, and can suspend your right to move to court during emergency. So your right is not suspended. The right is still there. You cannot go to court right now to claim that right. That's it. Okay. So movement to court is suspended for any kind of right is suspended. So if the president's order says, that you cannot go to court and claim Article 17. Article 17 is untouchability. This means now during emergency you cannot go and claim Article 17. But once the emergency is over, because Article 17 was available even during emergency, now you can go and claim those articles and the violation of those articles after emergency is over, because Article 359 does not suspend any right. It only for a temporary period suspends your right to move to the court. That's it. So right is there, it is getting violated, but you can't claim it. That's it. And there also there is an exception. What is the exception? The exception is of Article 20 and Article 21. This was added via the 44th Amendment Act 1976. So this phrase, except these two, this was added in 1976. Okay, sorry, 1978. My bad. 1978. So this was the Article 359. Shalu, sir, what were other fundamental rights? Again, as I said, what about other fundamental rights? Somebody can ask, what about Article 15? What about Article 16? What about Article 17? What about Article 18? If we are only discussing Article 19, why don't we just focus on this? This means nothing happens to other fundamental rights. If anything would have happened, I would have mentioned it. Have some faith in me that if anything happens to any other right, I would mention it. Nothing would be kept a secret, right? All secrets will be disclosed. Aniket, so it means Article 359, yes. In a sense, we can say that Article 359 actually prevents or suspends Article 32, but only for that small period, right? So we cannot really say it suspends, because the point is, if you suspend a right only, then that right was not available. But the beauty of 359 is that you can claim the violation of these rights after the end of emergency. Are they clear? After the end of emergency. But in this case, if Article 19 was violated, you cannot even claim it after end of emergency. Why? Because for the period of emergency, the right itself was not there. I hope this point is clear. So in that sense, yes. So Article 359 is slightly more lenient, and only enforcement of rights is suspended. Right is there, you can't enjoy it. Enjoyment after emergency is over. Now, 358 is for the entire area for entire duration, but 359 can be specific, right? Meaning, there is national emergency in the entire country. The president can uh, issue these orders. Let's say I issue a proclamation that there is emergency in the country on the basis of external aggression or armed rebellion. I will issue one more order. In Rajasthan, Article 17, the movement to court is suspended. In Punjab, Article 18, movement to court is suspended. In Nagaland, Article 24, movement to court is suspended. So for different parts of the country, we can suspend different kind of rights, their movement to court. That is why this can be specific. Are we clear? 358 is standard. Across the entire country or the entire area, the right is suspended. No exceptions for the entire period. But 359 can be modified. So you can say for 15 days in Rajasthan, no Article 20 or no Article 22. For 18 days in Maharashtra, no Article 23. This can be done with respect to Article 359. Are you clear? Okay. Now, what is point number 3 of 358? This we have discussed. Now, right per se is suspended. Right is gone. There is no Article 19. So think that in the constitution, for the period of emergency, somebody has removed, erased the right only. That is what is right per se is suspended. Okay. That is why now I hope you understand this last point. This is very wide. Why? Because the right becomes dead, ends. But here it is very narrow, because all your rights are intact, they are alive. Nothing has been suspended, no problem. It is just that we are only telling you during emergency, don't go to court. You can't. That's it. After emergency, go to court. Even for something wrong that has been done during emergency, you can go to the court after end of emergency. Okay? Now, one more thing. Now coming to Article 20 and 21. So what is the meaning of the first statement? your movement to court for any right is suspended. Okay. Except 20 and 21, meaning Article 20 and Article 21 can never be suspended. During emergency, after emergency, at any point of time, Article 20 and 21 will never be suspended at all. This was not there originally. So, just to add this interesting point, let me add a slide here. So, there used to be uh, a situation which we discussed earlier, the emergency in the country 1975. Now, in that emergency, there was a law passed by the law was already there. In 1971, during the second emergency, the center made a law called MISA 1971. This was called I'll tell you the full form. You can download the full form. Don't worry. Maintenance of Internal Security Act. Okay, that's called MISA. It's a law, 1971. This law was modified, right? And there was one section 18 of this law which said that the government could arrest anyone, and the reason for arrest or that arrest could not be challenged in the court. So, when you arrest any person, what happens is when you detain somebody, you violate their Article 21. What is 21? Right to life and personal liberty. Okay. So, you violate their Article 21. Their liberty is being violated. You are detaining somebody randomly. So, your Article 21 is getting suspended. But this MISA said that Article 21 can be taken away. Meaning, during emergency, the government can take away your fundamental right to live also. Now, tell me something. If you don't have the fundamental right to live, then what is the point of anything else? Then other things make no sense only, right? Without following any procedure, if the government starts taking lives of people, then why the hell do we have all this system in place? And under this law only, 36,000 people were jailed randomly, and you could not go to court also. This became the cause of concern. So, this was challenged in the Supreme Court. 5-judge bench. This is what we know as the ADM Jabalpur versus Shivkant Shukla case of 1976. An amazing day for the Supreme Court, of course, where a 5-judge bench, mind you, 5-judge bench, it's a constitutional matter, 5-judge bench upheld MISA 1971 with a 4:1 majority. They said yes. Supreme Court in this judgment said, I am repeating the line, it is the right of the government to suspend all fundamental rights. What kind of judgment is this? Are you there to uphold the rights of people, or are you there to validate the government's policies? And of these 5 judges, Justice A.N. Ray, who was the then Chief Justice of India, Justice M.H. Beg, who became the next Chief Justice of India, Justice Y.V. Chandrachud, who later on became the Chief Justice of India, longest serving period, Chief Justice of the current father of the current Chief Justice, Justice P.N. Bhagwati, who also later on became the Chief Justice of India. All these four judges said that yes, yes, government can take away all your rights. These great judges. Of course, A.N. Ray, he was the one for whom Indira Gandhi had violated the norm that the senior most person should become the Chief Justice. In 1973, three senior judges were bypassed and A.N. Ray was made the Chief Justice. Of course, he would give a judgment in favor of Indira Gandhi only. Then M.H. Beg. One judge, Justice H.R. Khanna, he opposed it. And we should remember his name because he was the only judge who stood against the might of this tyrannical government. And he said, very rightfully, that Article 21 is not the only source of life. Rule of law protects life of people. Our lives are not dependent on Article 21. It's a natural right that every individual has. If you are following rule of law in the country, then your Article 21 right to life has to be protected, right? And that's how we say, I mean, the submission of an independent judiciary to an absolutist government is the last step in the destruction of a democratic society. That's the worst that courts could do. And for this, H.R. Khanna was, of course, punished in 1977 when he was a senior most judge. He should have become the Chief Justice of India, but he did not. And M.H. Beg was made the Chief Justice of India. He resigned. So the only judge who was right could never become the Chief Justice of India. Probably somebody who deserved the most could not become Chief Justice of India, right? So in fact, in 2011, Justice P.N. Bhagwati apologized publicly, issued a public apology about the judgment that he had given as a part of ADM Jabalpur bench, that it was a wrong judgment. Anyway, it's too little too late. And other judges did not even apologize. That's the Supreme Court's history, right? And very interesting, this is a situation where what is happening? The Supreme Court or the apex court of the land is not upholding rights of people. It is trying to justify and enforce government policies. This is a classic example of a committed judiciary. So in public administration, a term is used called committed judiciary. This actually means not some nice things. Okay, don't feel it's some kind of great statement. Oh, committed. Committed towards what? This means judiciary committed towards upholding government's policies. This is called a committed judiciary. It is committed towards the government, not towards the people. The worst possible thing to happen in any country is for the judiciary to become committed towards government policies. What if the policy is wrong? Then the judiciary should cancel the policy and uphold people's rights. But no, here judiciary succumbed to pressure and submitted before this absolutist government. That's why this MISA was also known by people as not maintenance of internal security, but maintenance of Indira and Sanjay Act. So this was a law used to maintain Indira Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi in power. Okay. So this is with respect to the ADM Jabalpur case. It was only after this situation in 1978 that when Janata Party came to power, they made this modification that no, Article 20 and 21, right to life and all. Sorry, that can never be suspended. So Article 20 and 21 will always be there, whether it's national emergency or not, does not matter. Okay, so that is there with respect to the effect on fundamental rights. I hope this sounds similar to Rowlatt Act. Of course, it is the same thing redefined. We have learned from the best. The Britishers were the best people to commit atrocities on others. So we were learning from the best, of course. That's all as far as 358 and 359 is concerned. Let me summarize this once and for all. Article 358. Now, just focus on what I'm saying. We have studied all this. Article 358 says that the moment President imposes a national emergency on external grounds, meaning war or external aggression, at that very moment, Article 19 gets suspended. No Article 19. For the entire period of emergency, we'll have no Article 19, right? Nothing. Even after emergency is over, if anything wrong was done to you during emergency, violating Article 19, then you cannot claim it after emergency. Okay. Article 359 says that if emergency is imposed in general on war, on external aggression, or in armed rebellion, whatever reason, then the president can issue a separate order and can prevent you from moving to court for any kind of right, except 20 and 21. Okay, those movement to those rights, their movement to court cannot be restricted ever. Article 359 also says that such orders issued by president can be selective for selective areas, can be selective for selective periods, can be selective for certain kinds of rights, right? That is why we say that under Article 359, right is available. All I'm telling you is just don't go to court right now. Go to court after end of emergency. That's it. Okay. So that is there with respect to 358 and 359. I hope the point is clear for everyone now. Now, let's move on to the other types of emergencies. Shalu, sir, if emergency is imposed on specific area, then 19 is for whole country. Before the break, in this point, I had mentioned this, or for that area. So whatever area the emergency has been imposed on, for that area only. So before the break, I had mentioned that point here. It is only suspended for that particular area, but for that entire area on which emergency has been imposed. Now, moving to the next emergency, which we popularly know as the President's Rule. You may also, what is Article 20? Ignore it for now. Those who don't know, no problem. We'll discuss Article 20 when we discuss fundamental rights. It's of no concern right now. Knowing that will not have any change in your understanding of 359. Ranjan, kindly comment on internal emergency. What's the meaning of this internal emergency? I have no idea what this means. Are you referring to emergency on the grounds of armed rebellion? That is called internal emergency. So that's the reason. Okay, coming to President's Rule. But before that, one important article is 355. See, Union has two responsibilities. Responsibility number one, it is a duty of the Union Center to protect the states against any external aggression and also internal disturbance. Center has armed forces. Center has all the paramilitary forces. So, of course, we have given center a particular duty or a responsibility, right? For what? A duty or a responsibility to protect the states. That's the duty given to the center. So, in response of this duty given, the center has the power to impose what? National emergency. If there is any threat, the center can impose national emergency. Yes or no? That is correct. Now, second duty is for the center to also see that the government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. So, as a center, right, it is my duty to ensure that the government of the states, all the states, they should abide by the constitution. If this does not happen, then what do we do? If this does not happen, then the center may impose president's rule. Are we clear on this? So, center can impose president's rule if the state government is not following the constitution. Okay. So, now let's understand president's rule, Article 356. Who can impose it? The president can impose it, of course. Or a discretionary power of governor. Governor can also give a negative report. If the governor gives to the president a report that, sir, whatever you say, the state government is not following the constitution, and gives reasons, and the president feels, meaning center, feels the reasons are right, then they can impose president's rule on that state. For example, if R.N. Ravi, the governor of Tamil Nadu, writes to the president saying, sir, this government is not following the constitution. The government of the state is not being carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. Sorry, sir, we'll have to impose president's rule. My advice, impose president's rule. And the president feels, yes, yes, very good advice. Then they can impose president's rule. So, when can it be imposed? When such a situation has arisen in which, see the same language, government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. This is why we have president's rule. Role of parliament. So, just like the national emergency, when it is proclaimed by the president, the parliament, both the houses separately with a special majority, have to approve it. When it comes to the president's rule, both houses have to approve it, but with a simple majority, and only the time frame is 2 months. Approval by the parliament within how many months? 2 months. For national emergency, how many months? 1 month. And what kind of majority? Simple majority. Okay. Also, second point, it can remain in operation for 6 months at a time, just like the national emergency. Now, one small point, it can remain in operation for 6 months at a time from the date of issue of proclamation. Not from the date of approval, from date of issue of proclamation. Are we clear? This is there. One more thing. Please mug up this phrase. This phrase is important. So I normally don't tell you to mug up the articles, but this phrasing is important. So please mug up this phrase. It's very easy. The government of a state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. Now, just like national emergency, the state emergency or the constitutional emergency or the president's rule, whatever name you may call it, it also requires regular approval every 6 months. Okay? After every 6 months, you keep on getting it approved. But there is no limit to how many years the emergency national can continue. But there's a limit to how many years the president's rule can continue. That limit is 3 years only. So, and also, what happens in president's rule? Understand. Say, this is the timeline starting with this point. 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. Erase this. Okay. So here we have imposed president's rule. Okay. It continues for 6 months. Yes or no? Yes, of course. Again, approval required. Again, continues for 6 months. 1 year is over. Now, if you want to continue this emergency for beyond 1 year, if you want to continue this emergency beyond 1 year, then election commission has to give permission to continue beyond 1 year. ECI gives permission. What permission? The whole point is that if the state government of any state is not following the constitution, we have removed them. Okay. But then we should also have fresh elections. Yes or no? So conduct elections. Why are you not conducting elections? So Election Commission of India will give a reason that emergency should continue because we are unable to conduct elections. So a certificate or permission from ECI is required that as of now, let the center govern. We cannot conduct elections right now. Or national emergency is in force in the country. If that's a case, then the president's rule, if it was there, it can continue. No problem. After 1 year, here also, you have to get the approval. Again, continues for 6 months. Again, approval. Continues for 6 months. Again, approval. Now here, after second year, no such further permission is required. Again, continues for 6 months. Again, approval. Continues for 6 months. That's it. That's it. Maximum 3 years. This is the upper limit of president's rule. So it requires regular approval every 6 months, maximum period of 3 years, after which you have to restore the constitutional machinery. You have to conduct the elections. What is the problem? What the hell is this? After 3 years also, you cannot conduct elections. What is happening? So that is the upper limit of 3 years. Okay. This is for what? President's rule. Are we clear, everyone? Now, what exactly happens in president's rule? So, two things. Number one, under president's rule, the president may assume to himself functions and powers of state government. So, basically, in the president's rule, what happens? Central government becomes or acts on behalf of state government. Why? Because there is no state government. State government is dismissed. Unlike in the case of national emergency, where state government is there. Okay, state government is there in the national emergency, but in the president's rule, state government has been removed. If there is no state government, then who will implement rules, regulations? Who will control police force? Who will make regulations for governing the day-to-day administration? Central government. That is why we call it president's rule, center's rule. And the president may also declare that powers of the state legislature shall be exercisable by or under the authority of parliament. Second point, parliament acts on behalf of state legislature. Why does this happen? Because the state assembly is dissolved. Are we clear? So now please understand what happens in president's rule. Stage 1, president's rule imposed. The moment president's rule is imposed, state government gets dismissed, meaning government is removed. There is no government. This is stage 1. Now you also know very well that within 2 months, this president's rule has to be approved by the parliament. After approval by parliament, the state legislative assembly is dissolved, meaning all the MLAs are also removed, get lost. So here, in this situation, central government takes over. And in this situation, parliament takes over. Are we clear now? That is why there's a difference between the national emergency and the president's rule. Why? Because in national emergency, there is no problem. The state government's function, assembly's function. It is just that center gets additional power over stately subjects. But in president's rule, there is no state government only, right? So for that state, there is no state government. Who is the government? Central government. For that state, there is no assembly only. Who is assembly? Parliament. And we had discussed the same thing yesterday also. In Jammu and Kashmir in 2019, there was president's rule. During president's rule, the parliament becomes the state legislature for that state. So I hope now you have this understanding of what is president's rule. Okay. Okay. Second effect. Avani, if parliament takes more than 2 months, then the president rule is removed. Nitin, second effect is automatic. Nothing is automatic. When the president's rule is imposed, the president will have to dismiss the government. Okay. And then only after the parliament approves president's rule, the assembly can be dissolved. You cannot directly dissolve the assembly. Assembly can only be dissolved if the parliament approves the president's rule. I hope this point is clear. And the moment the parliament approves it, stages follow. But if the parliament does not approve it, then the old government has to be restored. That's the concept of president's rule. I hope this point is clear. Okay. Sir, in President's rule, not necessary to dissolve the state legislature. Correct, sir. Uh, in the current situation, that Supreme Court has said in SR Bommai, there is no alternative. You will have to dissolve the state legislature because there are only limited conditions in which we have to apply President's rule, right? And one such condition is the inability of any party to form the government. In that case, there is no option only. You have to dissolve the assembly, right? It's an SR Bommai judgment. We'll discuss it shortly. Don't worry. Last slide point. Which slide point? This slide point. It is very simple. Last slide point, Sushri simply says that we can keep on approving President's rule, keep on extending it. 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. After 3 years, you cannot further extend the President's rule, right? You have to restore the constitutional machinery. What do you mean by constitutional machinery? State government, elections, assembly, legislature, that has to be restored. That is what is the entire machinery in every state. So elections have to be conducted. What about MLAs, Sakshi? What about MLAs? They are no longer MLAs. They are removed. Get lost. Okay. Uh, to continue beyond 1 year, to continue beyond 1 year, election commission has to give permission that keep on extending President's rule, no problem, because right now we cannot conduct elections. See, the whole point is, if there is President's rule, the assembly is dissolved. So originally what used to happen was, the moment the President's rule was imposed, the governments used to dissolve the assembly. But Supreme Court said, no, no, no. Dissolve the assembly only after the president or the parliament approves the President's rule. So once there is no assembly, there is no government, center is managing the government and the legislature, it is of course difficult. And the rightful method is to have elections in the state, right? So for elections, we have to approach the election commission. So after 1 year, if the center still wants to extend President's rule, it has to talk to election commission, right? Election commission has to say that, sorry, we cannot conduct elections right now. There is public disorder, law and order issues are there, we don't have money, whatever reason they feel. If the ECI says, okay, no problem, we can't conduct elections, you continue, then the President's rule will continue. Okay. Now, just on a side note, a small point. This was asked by somebody before the break. So now we are discussing this article. This is not a part of emergency provisions, but has a similar effect like that of emergency. Not under emergency provisions. So what is this article? See, center has complete power over union list and concurrent list. If the center tells the state, okay, if the center tells the state to perform some task, let's say CAA 2019, some state said we will not implement the law. Citizenship is a matter of union list. Who has the power over it? Center. Okay. If the center has given the approval to the law and has asked all the states to implement a law, then every state has to implement the law. If some state does not, then we will say that you are not following the center's direction. And if such a situation comes when the center's directions are not followed by a state government, then we can again say the same thing, that in this state, constitution is not being followed. Provisions of the constitution are not being followed. Let's read now. Where any state has failed to comply with or to give effect to any direction given in the exercise of the executive power of union. What do you mean by executive power of union? Executive power of union refers to what? Tell me. Executive power of union refers to the power of union over the union list and the concurrent list subjects. That's the executive power of union. So if the state does not follow the directions, it shall be lawful for the president to hold that. Same language. A situation has arisen in which the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. And if such a thing happens, what is the result? Which results in imposition of president's rule. As simple as that. So this is Article 365. Okay. I hope this point is clear. Now, this president's rule has been prone to misuse plenty of times by various governments. Right from 1959, when the first misuse happened, when the Nehru government dismissed the Kerala government. And even in 1956, we had to use president's rule to reorganize the country. So commissions have been formed and matters sometimes have gone to Supreme Court also. So one such commission was called Sarkaria Commission. So the guidelines you are going to see right now, they are a combination of Sarkaria Commission guidelines or recommendations and also Sarkaria Commission recommendations plus a very famous judgment called S.R. Bommai 1994. Now, when it comes to S.R. Bommai 1994, Sarkaria Commission, you know, there's a commission formed in 1983, Sarkaria Commission. What is this S.R. Bommai? Who was S.R. Bommai? S.R. Bommai was father of the current Karnataka Chief Minister, Basavaraj Bommai. And he was also the CM of Karnataka in 1987-88 period. And he was removed and on Karnataka, president's rule was imposed by the center. So he went to court saying center is misbehaving. It is wrongfully implementing president's rule in my state. Secondly, in some states like Nagaland, the same problem happened. That there was this allegation that center is misusing the power and wrongfully imposing president's rule in on Nagaland. Now, in the meantime, if you remember, there was this demolition of Babri Masjid and Ayodhya. And this demolition was largely perpetrated by some Kar Sevaks who had traveled from various parts of the country and had reached Ayodhya. And the result of which repercussion was the burning of the train, right? Sabarmati Express, where the Kar Sevaks who had gone on a pilgrimage were returning back. So, with the result of which was the Godhra riots, etc. So, it's all been a long chain of events. Anyway, so when this masjid was demolished with the allegation that this was built on a Hindu temple, which was later found to be correct in the Supreme Court in the Ayodhya judgment. So this demolition uh, perpetrated by some Kar Sevaks, of course, once it was demolished, this masjid, the central government issued orders to the state governments of Rajasthan, Himachal, and MP, telling them to ban RSS and such organizations because uh, these organizations had an important role to play in the demolition of the mosque. Okay. However, these three states did not ban the organizations. Now, Center said that under Article 365, we are giving you a binding direction to ban these organizations, but you are not banning these organizations. And that is why you have failed to comply with the direction issued by Center, and hence we are going to impose precedence rule in all these three states. These three states also went to the Supreme Court eventually. Now, Supreme Court had all these matters from Nagaland, Karnataka, MP, Himachal, Rajasthan on the same topic. So, Supreme Court collectively took all of the matters in the SR Bommai case, telling SR Bommai, sir, you have come first. Let's name the case after you. You are the first petitioner. Okay. So, in that case only, Supreme Court gave some guidelines on what is wrong and what is a right approach to imposing precedence rule. In fact, the result of SR Mumbai has been that the misuse of precedence rule has drastically come down. I'm not saying it is zero, it has come down. Okay. So, what were the guidelines issued by the Supreme Court and what were the recommendations of the Sarkaria Commission? We'll study them collectively. Number one, Supreme Court said that President's rule, the President's rule, the proclamation is subject to judicial review. Number one, meaning if the center imposes President's rule, we can ask the center. We can ask the center what is the reason. Show me reason. We want to see whether there is actually a failure of the machinery of the constitution. Are the states following everything, or what is the reason that you are saying that the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the constitution? We want to know the reasons. Please tell me the reason. Number two, in fact, in those three states that we had mentioned, Rajasthan, MP, and Himachal, the Supreme Court agreed with the center's decision to impose precedence rule. Why? Because Supreme Court said that precedence rule can be imposed on any state, right? If we find that the state government is not following secularism. So, if the state government tries to work against secularism, precedence rule can be imposed. Now, just hear me out first. When this statement was made, the petitioners also asked the sir, lawyer said, sir, what is not being followed? Supreme Court said secularism is not being followed. Somebody said, sir, can you define what is secularism? Supreme Court said, what is secularism? Secularism is an elastic word. It cannot be defined properly. It is best left undefined. Justice, I am not saying this. Justice A.M. Ahmadi in the SR Bommai case, he mentioned this statement, the former Chief Justice of India. So Supreme Court, while trying to teach us a lesson on secularism, could not even define the word secularism. Anyway, don't worry. When we study Article 26, we will define secularism. Something which Supreme Court is too afraid of defining, we will try to, and to a large extent, completely and comprehensively define secularism. That is next weekend. Then, one more thing. When it comes to these elections, I'll give you an example of what happened. In 1977, see, Congress government was there almost everywhere in the country, barring a few states. In 1977, except Kerala, West Bengal, etc., when Janata Party came to power at the center, Janata Party imposed President's rule and dismissed 9 different state governments across the country, all Congress governments. What was the reason? They said, see, people have voted for us. You have no right to govern. Very silly reason. People have voted for Janata Party for Lok Sabha. They have voted for Congress and Vidhan Sabha. How can you dismiss the government? They still have the confidence of the House. Dismissed. In 1980, When Indira Gandhi came to power, Congress won the election. Janata Party was ruling in 10 different states. Indira Gandhi imposed president's rule and dismissed 10 different state governments. 10 different state governments saying the same thing, that people have voted for me, so we will rule, not you. This is very silly now. Imagine the situation. Look at our country also. Look at some very interesting situations. At the central level for Lok Sabha, we have seen in Delhi only BJP getting a thumping majority. But in Vidhan Sabha, Aam Aadmi Party gets a majority. Same goes for states like MP, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan. Look at Rajasthan. In 2018, month of December, we had elections in Rajasthan where Congress won. After 4 months, same state of Rajasthan, when Lok Sabha was there, most seats went for BJP. People vote differently for Lok Sabha and for Vidhan Sabha elections. That is actually a fact, right? So, Supreme Court also, this was a guideline given by Sarkariya Commission actually, that whenever any new government comes to power, don't start dismissing all the opposition ruled states. That will not be correct. So, no wholesale dismissal of opposition ruled state governments when new political party assumes power at the center. Okay? I hope you have understood this meaning because I took a lot of context to explain it. Now, very interesting. Supreme Court says if the president imposes president's rule on political reasons, the court can even restore the assembly. Mind you, when you are imposing president's rule and you are dissolving the assembly also, the court says if we find that the intention is not correct, then we can call back all the MLAs. This is too much here. This is too much of power in the Supreme Court. So they are saying we'll have this power also to call back the MLAs who have been removed already. This is Supreme Court giving itself all the possible powers that it can give. Now, I had drawn this entire structure here. This structure is a result of Supreme Court judgment only. So it was in this case only that Supreme Court said this, that state assembly can only be dissolved after the parliament approves the central rule. State assemblies cannot be dissolved before the parliament approves the rule. Are we clear? State assembly will only be dissolved the moment the parliament approves, then the center can dissolve the assembly. No problem. Lastly, Supreme Court or High Court can compel the center to disclose those evidences, material on whose basis the president's rule is being imposed. The point is, you are telling that president's rule has to be imposed. Some condition is there. I want to see the condition. Show me the condition. This is also in blatant violation of Article 74 Clause 2. Mind you, Article 74 Clause 2 says that the advice tendered, if so, and whatever advice is tendered by the government, the Council of Ministers to President, cannot be inquired into in any court. This is direct inquiry of that advice, actually. Though Supreme Court has said that we are not inquiring the advice, we are only looking at the evidence on which the advice is based. What is this nonsense? It's the same thing. Look at this situation of Supreme Court trying to play with words. They are saying we are not questioning the advice. We are only looking into what are those evidences on which you have based your advice. This is too much. I mean, if you want to interpret properly. Don't play with all these words. When you're looking at some evidence, right, you are indirectly looking at the advice also. So that's there. Anyway, I would not say that this judgment is improper because it has improved the situation, given more stability to states, because otherwise it was rampant abuse of president's rule by the central governments. Most occasions it was Congress to be blamed, right? So people have forgotten the past of 1960s, 70s, 80s and all. Congress itself has forgotten. That's the situation. Parties keep on changing. The result is the same. the same Congress government wanted to bring in Aadhaar. It was Congress who brought the Aadhaar. It is Congress who brought the GST, and BJP opposed it. Now BJP is pursuing it. Congress opposes it. So in our country, or I think in general in the parliamentary system only, the purpose of your survival and your life, the goal of your life, the motto of your life as an opposition party is to oppose the government in whatever they do, good or bad, don't care, oppose. That's the stupidity sometimes that reflects in such systems. That is why Ambedkar was too elitist. He was harsh also. Ambedkar, in one of an interview, said that democracy is a situation where donkeys elect donkeys. This is too much. Let's not make those statements also. But anyway, so that is there with respect to these guidelines. And finally, just to summarize all this, Supreme Court has said that imposing precedence rule is justified only in three situations. These three, nothing else. On no other ground can you impose precedence rule. Number one, when there is a hung legislature, meaning no party can form the government. We have to give people a government. What to do? Impose precedence rule, go for elections. Okay. Number two, state government works against secularism. Number three, under Article 365, if you are giving some instruction to the state government and state government is not following it, then you can impose precedence rule, but only after adequate warning. So warn them first. Let's see, I am giving you an instruction. You are not following it. We will impose it. Okay. So that is all as far as precedence rule is concerned. High Court ordered state to protect masjid. High Court ordered state to protect masjid, Sakshi. Yes, of course. So what is the context here? Priyanka, SC be like, of course, that is this behavior that we have to act like a benign father who tells the kids what is right, what is wrong. Shall we example second point? As I said, the example of second point was the imposition of precedence rule in Rajasthan, Himachal Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh. Again, secularism. I gave the example of Madhya Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan. If any state government is trying to work against secularism, trying to work in favor of a religion, trying to work against a religion, trying to harass members of a certain community, then the center can impose precedence rule. Okay, don't worry, no state is doing it. It's all vote bank politics. Last, financial emergency. Article 360, only one article. See, don't ask me what happens here, because nobody knows what happens here. We have never seen any case of financial emergency in the country. So I can only tell you what is mentioned in the constitution. What may happen, we can only keep on guessing. But since it has never been imposed, thankfully, and it will never be imposed also now, unlikely. So we don't really know, and we will never come to know also. Okay. Number one, who can impose it? President. When can it be imposed? Whenever the financial stability or the credit of India is under threat. If the financial stability and the credit of India is under threat, we can impose what? Financial emergency. What do you mean by credit of India is under threat? Maybe example. I can only give you examples. If India starts defaulting on loans, bonds, etc., or forex reserves are at an all-time low, no forex reserve, no money with the RBI, no money with the government, then we can say maybe the credit of India, the financial stability is under threat. That's just an example of what can happen, right? Just a sec, guys. Sorry, guys. So as I was saying, role of Parliament, just like President's rule, approved by Parliament within 2 months by a simple majority. Okay. So just to summarize this point, national emergency. How many months? 1 month. What majority? Special majority. President's rule. How many months? 2 months. What majority? Simple majority. Financial emergency. How many months? 2 months. What majority? Simple majority. Okay, that's it. Now, what can be the effect of financial emergency? What's the effect? The effect number one is that center can give any direction to states to observe canons of financial propriety. What is canon? Canon means law, laws. What is propriety? Propriety means good behavior. Canons of financial propriety, canons of good behavior. Look at your life only. Very simple. At the beginning of the month, full on money, feeling like the king, right? Spending money here and there, making useless purchase, end of season sale, big bang sale, this sale, that sale. 25th of the month, sale is going on. You cannot. You are adding everything in the cart, saving it in the cart, controlling your emotions. What are you doing? You are observing canons of financial propriety, good behavior. You are trying to behave now in a better fashion, that I should not waste money now. Just like that. Government has no money. States have no money. So center can tell the states, don't waste money, no subsidies, stop it right now. That can be done. Now, we know very well, salaries of people can never be reduced, like president, etc. But during financial emergency, salary of any class of persons can be reduced as per direction. Are we clear? Salary of any class of persons can be. Country has no money. Don't cry, my salary, my salary. But that nation has no money. Are you completely shameless to cry, my salary, my salary? What the hell is your salary? So, of course, during national financial emergency, please don't expect that you will get any kind of salary and all. It can be reduced. It's not guaranteed. It may be reduced. Okay. Then, number three, all money bills and other financial bills will be reserved for the consideration of the president as per direction. So, see, we know very well that center has states also have the power to uh, pass money bills, budget, etc. But center knows very well this behavior of the state government to misuse funds. So, the center can tell the states, are you passing money bill? Show it to me first. We can't trust you. We have no money, you will waste money. Don't waste money. So when in times of crisis, uh, monetary crisis, the control ends in the hands of the center. That is why we say center acquires full control over states in financial matters. It's a central control comprehensively. Okay. So these are the effects of financial emergency. Okay. Sir, can Article 360 be imposed in a state as many opposition governments criticize for excess loans? It can, but I mean, there is no such provision which clearly mentions this, right? And also, the whole point is that taking excessive loans, they always know the backing of center is there, right? So, center has too much of money. So, we do not see the entire country being financially under threat. That's there. This is largely called maladministration. You are not able to administer the state properly. So in that case, center cannot impose president's rule also, not allowed. What center can do is give binding order to state government. If the states don't follow it, then you can impose president's rule. That's there. Sayadri. Sir, I didn't find mention of words like State of India under threat in the constitution. Oh my god. Sayadri, take a simple step. On Google search, type Article 360. Open any link of Article 360. In the very first line, the second line, first clause, Article 360, clause 1, it says this only: if the president is satisfied that the situation has arisen in whereby the when financial stability or credit of India is under threat. I am not inventing these words. They are mentioned in the Constitution, Article 360, clause 1. Anyway, uh, I hope we have understood the entire emergency provisions. Misconceptions have been eradicated largely, and now you can address concerns with respect to your questions on emergency. Priyanka, sir, in COVID time, government proposed the reduction of civil servant salary. That is there, but that is not emergency, right? They have also reduced their own salary, right? 30% reduction in the salary, but that was their own contribution. That is not financial emergency. And don't think too highly of yourself. Okay, you are just a bureaucrat. Nobody cares. Financial emergency is a situation where president's salary can be curtailed. For bureaucrats like you, we should curtail your salary. You're making too much of money. No, don't worry. Nobody is going to curtail your salary because you are going to give the advice to the government to propose bills and all. Why will you ever reduce your salary? You'll only increase your salary. More salary, more allowances, etc., and less of work. Okay, so that is all as far as emergency is concerned. Moving on to the Shalu, martial law. Martial law we'll discuss under Article 34. Don't worry. Martial law is basically military rule. It is no, there is no relation to emergency in martial law. Martial law simply means in some area there is too much of chaos, no law and order. Local government has failed completely, right? We send military. That's it. Martial law. Sir, is Jammu and Kashmir? Jammu and Kashmir is a UT, not a state. Okay. Lockdown. Sakshi, lockdown is implemented under various provisions. It can be implemented under Epidemic Diseases Act. It can be under some sections of CRPC, some sections of IPC. So it depends. All this question came last year only. Let's see. Are you able to solve this correctly or not? 30 seconds, sufficient time? Oh, sorry. How sweet. A lot of you marked one as the answer. A. What is meant by ratify? Write the meaning. All those who marked A, write the meaning of ratify first. Ratify means to revoke. No. Pass, pass. Okay. Ratify means to pass. Approve, pass. To give assent, sign, approve. Great. Okay. Uh, Now, which of the following is or are the exclusive powers of Lok Sabha? To pass the emergency declaration, passing or approving emergency, both houses. Yes or no? Special majority. To end emergency is a special power of Lok Sabha. Ending emergency. To end or revoke. One is wrong. To impeach the president, both houses have to pass the proposal. 3 is wrong. B, 2 only. Passing a motion of no confidence. So, right answer is B. Okay. So, it is not passing the emergency, but ending the emergency. Okay. No problem. Now, do we have, we did not solve many questions only. So, there is no point of leaderboard. Acha, we just solved one question. What's the point? Okay. Now coming to federalism. Federalism. So in the very first class, while we were discussing the syllabus, this word came in front of us, federalism. And I said that federalism basically means system of government that separates the power between a national government and a provincial government, union government, state government, central government, regional government, whatever name you may call it, separating the power, right? Spatial functions. That is called federalism. So, federalism is a system of government that separates the power between central government and the regional government of the country. Okay. Now, we know federalism. What is Indian federalism? Indian federalism, known by various people with various phrases. Some people say, no, India is a federal country, definitely, but not completely federal. Let's call it quasi federal. Yes or no? Quasi federal, semi federal, partially federal. So, K.C. Weary, he was a person, he coined this term for India, that Indian constitution is semi federal, it's almost federal. Sir Ivor Jennings, he made this phrase that India is a federation with a strong centralizing tendency. With strong centralizing tendency. This was said by Sir Ivor Jennings. But you know what? These things are great. But the whole point is, there is also very interesting way to categorize our constitution along lines of federal or unitary. Why should we follow the Western guideline of federal and call ourselves more unitary than federal, centralizing tendency? A better approach would be, because that's a reality, Indian federation is a very unique one of its own kind. No other country has this kind of situation where center is stronger than the states in lot of respects. So this is a very unique situation where India is very unique, one of its own kind. That is why we say that Indian Federation is a federation sui generis. Sui generis means of its own kind. That's the meaning of sui generis. Okay. So this is the Indian federalism. And this term was coined by one head of the legal studies department in the Madras University, C.H. Alexandrovich. You need not remember names, but you should remember at least these phrases. You can quote them in your answers. Okay. So, since people keep on telling that India is a federal country, this means that if we are calling our constitution and the system federal, there must be some federal provisions where the center and states are sharing power. Of course, it has to be there. So, what are those features in our country which make our country federal? Okay. First things first, dual polity. What is polity? First class, we discussed this. Polity means form of government. So we have a dual form of government, don't we? We have the central government, we have the state government. Then division of power. Is it there? Yes, it's there. We have the lists: union list, state list, concurrent list, right? Which is what? Article 246. Then our constitution is written constitution. When something is written, it becomes fixed. So it gives a sense of assurance to the states also that this is fixed, it is our power. Then in our country, who is supreme? Center or states? Constitution is supreme, and both center and states are bound by the constitution. Then we have an independent judiciary. The beauty is that this is the independent judiciary which also settles center state disputes. Then we have bicameral legislation. What is bicameral? Two houses, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is the representation of states in the parliament. Representation of states in the parliament. So we have some kind of say for the state governments also at the central level. Then, if you remember, we have seen how to amend the constitution, right? Look at this structure. You will appreciate it more now through this diagram. All the articles of the constitution. So have you observed that lot of these articles, a large portion of it, right? We can use simple majority to modify the provisions. Yes or no? Creating new states, changing names of states, Schedule 5, Schedule 6, Schedule 1, lot of these Schedule 2, Schedule 3, the modification requires a simple majority only. It is only in few cases where we have to use Article 368. But there are some cases where states' consent is required. We had referred to that as the federal provisions. Now, I hope you can appreciate this point that in our country, there are some provisions which cannot be modified without state's permission. So, we also have the rigidity of the federal provisions in the constitution. Those provisions are rigid completely, right? So, all these points are supportive of this idea that we do have a federal structure, meaning there is a division of power between center and states. Of course, of course. But then the bigger question is, then why are people going crazy that we have a quasi-federal structure, strong center? This means there should be proper provisions which make the center very strong. Of course, it is. There are provisions. They are called unitary features. It is these unitary features which showcase the so-called centralizing tendency. Centralizing tendency. This is what is there. And it is these unitary features which result in confrontation. Confrontation between center and states. So, what are these unitary features? Let's take a break. What do you say? Break? After a small break of around 10 to 12 minutes, we'll come back and we'll continue with our unitary features. Okay? Break, please. Be back at 3:40 and we'll continue our discussion further. Break, please, guys. Welcome back, guys. So, we are discussing about those elements that point to the unitary aspect, right? Priyanka, yes, fourth schedule. We have mentioned that, right? This is the fourth schedule, and this is the seventh schedule. So that's mentioned already. Now, coming to the unitary features. So first up, as I said, we have division of power. We have three lists. We have the state list, the union list, the concurrent list. But is the division of power equal? Of course not. I mean, look at the union list. The union list has 98 entries. State list has 59 entries. Where is the equality? Then residuary powers. What are residuary powers? Very first class. Any topic which is not mentioned in the union list, state list, or the concurrent list. Any topic which is not mentioned in any of these lists will find a mention where? Will find a mention in, or will be called as a residuary power, remaining powers, not in any list. Very first class we discussed this. So who controls residuary powers? Residuary powers are controlled by the center with center. Then fiscal powers. I mean, all the taxes that the center has. Center has what kind of taxes? Fiscal means monetary. Income tax, corporate tax. The most important taxes are collected by center. What does state collect? Excise. That depends on how much liquor you can drink. So when you consume liquor, or not liquor, as in consume alcohol or alcoholic beverages, then the state government gets more money. So drink more, the state becomes richer. I mean, don't do it; it's your choice. But just a simple example that state government can tax excise, they can tax agriculture. No state government will ever tax agriculture. Of course not. It's dangerous. Vote bank. Now, so center has all the lucrative topics, states do not. So division of power is not equal. It's heavily tilted in the favor of center. Then central control over states. State list. Look at the state list. There are plenty of situations where the center can make laws on state list subjects. Yes or no? Article 249, Article 250. So there are situations where center can make laws on state list subjects, but states can never make law on central list subjects. Appointment of governor. I mean, so yes, we fully respect Supreme Court statement in the Rakul Tilak case that governor is an independent constitutional post, but we know the reality, right? The central government will try to interfere with the state's policies or state's administration by appointing governor who will be more favorable to the center. Then fiscal powers. Again, as I said, the states have to depend on center for all the taxes, not the other way around. The center is the one which will follow the recommendation of Finance Commission, which is not binding. It is a center which always follows the recommendation, but it is not binding. Then we have a single constitution, and that single constitution can only be amended by the center. States have no say in the amendment of the constitution, right? Amendment by center. Then our constitution is more flexible than rigid. Look at this provision, this diagram. More flexible than rigid. What is the meaning of this? Al- these are all these are all flexible provisions which can be modified by a simple majority only, right? These are what are known as rigid provisions. Very few provisions are rigid. Most provisions are very flexible. The center can modify lot of things. As I said, Article 3, Schedule 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, so many things can be modified by the center with a simple majority. So that's there. Now, the country also has one more situation of single citizenship. And who controls it? Center controls it. So we have one country, one domicile, one citizenship. And who controls it? The center controls it. Okay. Then we have common machinery with respect to the elections, audit. Who conducts elections? ECI. Who appoints members of ECI? Center. Who conducts audit? CAG and the entire team of Indian Audit and Account Services. So there also, who controls the CAG and the team? It's the center. Then Parliament does not represent the states equally. There is no equality of representation. Meaning what? Look at the uh, states representation at the central level, Rajya Sabha, right? Every state has different number of people in the Rajya Sabha. There is no equality for the states. Then we have a unified judiciary. So integrated judiciary is there, but the control over judiciary is of the center. States have no control over either the say Supreme Court or the High Courts. Central control, be it in terms of removal, number of judges, salaries, allowances, all such things. Center controls it. States have no control. Then the most important element is emergency provisions. We have just seen emergency provisions. Emergency provisions are a testimony to how this semi-federal constitution becomes completely unitary. States are completely under the center's control during national emergency, and a specific state is under complete control during president's rule, right? The states are under complete control monetarily when it comes to financial emergency. So there is no such control only of the there is no such independence only of the states during emergency. So all these three articles that we have seen, in fact 352 to 360, this entire group of articles showcase how unitary our constitution is, how strong the center becomes. Then all India services. Article 312. What is an all India service? How do you define it? So you'll be studying in your governance classes, but I'll just give you a brief definition of it. All India Services is a service to which the recruitment and training is done by the center, but the mandate is to serve the needs of both the center and states, meaning recruitment and training by the center, management jointly by center and states. But eventually, if you are an all India services officer, let's say you're an IS officer, you're posted in some state, do you think the state government has any control over you? They cannot remove you. They can suspend you on false inquiry. You can be suspended for some time. You can be transferred. They can harass you by transferring you. But can they remove you from service? They have no control over your removal, right? Your removal can only be done by the center, not the state. So that's there. States don't like it. In fact, some states like Tamil Nadu, they had at one point of time, Tamil Nadu had formed a committee called Rajamannar Committee. Rajamannar Committee gave a recommendation: abolish all India services. What is this nonsense? No all India service. There should be only central service, state service. Anyway, that recommendation was not accepted. So that's there. Then a very good example of unitary feature is Article 3. I mean, what more to say when the survival depends on center? Article 3. The state's boundaries, size, name, every damn thing depends on center. Parliament by a simple majority can modify up the states. And of course, Rajya Sabha is the representation of states at the central level. But Rajya Sabha is a weaker house, be it in terms of monetary matters or also in terms of the size, right? Monetary proposals, even the numerical strength. Rajya Sabha is the weaker of the two houses. That's it. So these are those features which largely push people into believing that we have a more centralized government. Center is very strong. Of course, beyond that, Granville Austin has said that the beauty of India is that they have a cooperative federalism. Cooperation takes place. Nice things. So there are some examples of cooperation also. This concept of cooperation has been given by Granville Austin. So one element of cooperation is the concurrent list. Cooperation. All India services. Now you may say, sir, just now you had said that all India service is a tool of confrontation, right? It's a unitary feature. It is both unitary and cooperative. How? See, to give you a simple example, look at the current situation of, say, West Bengal government and the central government. They don't see eye to eye. I mean, if left on their own, they may murder each other. But still, the governments are functioning at both levels. There is cooperation happening. How? Let's say you are some bureaucrat, IS officer in the West Bengal government. You want a proposal to be sent, referred to the center's approval. What will you do? You will call your batchmate in Delhi, who's in the central government, some ministry. You say, listen, I have sent a file, get it approved now, please. And the batchmate gets the file approved, task is done. Let's say you are an SP in some district and some criminals have crossed your state and went to some other state. The local police comes to you and says, sir, why don't you call your friend from the other state, the SP, your batchmate, your senior, junior? Call him, tell him to help us out. You call your friend, tell him, come on, my staff are going there. Please ask your staff to cooperate. Cooperation. Without all India services, day-to-day cooperation in this country would be impossible. It would be impossible. So, all India services is also a tool of cooperation. Then DPSPs. Now, what is DPSP? DPSP stands for Directive Principles of State Policy. You don't need it for now. Next Sunday, we'll be studying DPSPs. DPSP basically refers to, I'll just give you one line understanding of DPSP. DPSP is basically a list of all the provisions that the central and state governments should keep in mind while making policies for the country. So DPSPs are those guidelines that center and states, any party that comes to power, must follow, right? That is a moral guideline of sorts. Cooperation. Then immunity of instrumentality. So what is this? Are you aware that in your city, if you are living in a slightly bigger city, maybe a state capital, etc., you have the income tax office in your city? Yes or no? So, when it comes to income tax office in your city, please understand that income tax office is actually a central government building, because income tax comes under central government. That building is a central government building which is there in the state. Now, when you have such a building, the premise is there, you have to provide facilities, various things are required, water is required, maintaining cleanliness is required, sanitation is required, drainage is required, hygiene is required. Who is providing these facilities? Municipal corporation under state government. Can the state governments impose any tax on these central government buildings? They cannot. Central government buildings are not taxed by the states. Not taxed by states. Vice versa also. State government buildings not taxed by center. This is Article 285. This is Article 289. Okay. That's it. Then no division of public services, meaning let's say there is an IPS, you are an IPS officer or you are an IS officer, you are sent to a state, now you are an IS officer who is posted in say Chhattisgarh or Madhya Pradesh. When you go there, is your task only limited to ensuring the implementation of central government schemes and policies, or both central and state government? Both, of course. Just because you are hired by central government does not mean that you will only uh, conduct that or perform the activity of central government policies. When you are sent to a state, you take care of everything, central and state. So there is no bifurcation in public service that, oh, he has come from UPSC, so we can only give him this task. He is from SPSC, let's give him other kind of tasks. Of course not. The quality of work can vary depending on your level, but every official at the state level performs tasks for the state government and the central policies also. Okay, so that's it. And lastly, Article 355, duty of the center to protect the states. We have just seen that under a president's rule, two duties. This is cooperation. One more thing, in our country, not every state is treated equally. States are treated in a different fashion. We saw today only an example of some states in the northeast which are given too much of autonomy, or some areas in some states like Schedule 5 areas which have a lot of autonomy. So not every state has same kind of symmetric relationship with the center. States are placed at different distances, not physical, but in terms of power. So let's say we have the center. So sometimes you'll find that some state has no power, some states lot of leeway is there, Some states too much of leeway is there. Some states they are too autonomous. So it all depends, and it reflects very clearly in, say, Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha, the representation is not the same. Look at Andhra Pradesh, 11 MPs, UP 31, Goa 1, Punjab 7, MP 11, Kerala 9. Every state has different representation in the Rajya Sabha and controls different kind of power in Rajya Sabha, right? Then we have some states which are normally classified as special category states. Right? So if you look in the constitution, right from Article 371 to 371J, these are states which have some special provisions. Some we had seen under the governor, explicit powers, special responsibility, like for Maharashtra, Gujarat, right? So these states include the 7 sister states in Northeast, except Meghalaya and Tripura. Then Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Goa, Sikkim, and Karnataka. So these are the special states where we have some special provisions. For example, in Sikkim, governor can make regulations for peace and economic development. In Karnataka, we have special provisions for northeastern part of Karnataka called Karnataka Hyderabad region, right? The Kalyan Karnataka. In Maharashtra, Gujarat, special development boards can be set up. So we have different provisions for different kind of states. This topic is actually mentioned in your chapter Lakshmikant. Chapter 37. There is a chapter on it. I would prefer, you can skip this chapter, but this chapter should be read selectively by you. How? Not a single question has been asked from this topic actually, separately. But in 2013, a question was asked on Nagaland. Why? Because in 2012, there was some dispute between central and government and the Nagaland government on the provisions of Article 371A, right? So in 2013, a mains question was asked. So basically, this topic becomes only important if you find any of these articles being in news. So when any of this article is ever quoted in news separately, then selectively read that article only. Otherwise, don't waste time into reading all these provisions. Most of them are of no concern to us, and otherwise we have already seen some of these articles at various places, right? So please don't separately read it, but if a question is asked, or if the uh, current affairs contains such an article, then you can selectively read the article. That is why we say focus on current affairs, because current affairs is going to tell you what topic becomes important. Then schedule 5 areas in 10 states where you have what? What do you have in schedule 5 areas? TAC, Tribal Advisory Council. Schedule 6 areas, 4 states. What do you have here? ADC, Autonomous District Councils, right? So that's there. Too much of autonomy is there, right? Other states can't even think of it, the amount of autonomy which is given to Schedule 5 and 6 areas. Then uneven fiscal devolution. When the center gives funds, it does not give funds to states equally. And it is not based on population alone. It is based on various factors like the GDP of the state, population of the state, forest cover of the state, right? Area of the state, even things like the efforts the states are taking into collecting taxes. So every state gets different amount of money based on various factors. And lastly, there are some areas in the country which are UTs. There is no independence only. Those areas are completely under the control of the what? Center. So no space given, no leeway to make their own laws, etc. Completely under central control. That is called asymmetric federalism. Asymmetric federalism means states are placed at different distances from the center in terms of autonomy and power. I'll repeat, asymmetric federalism means states are placed at different distances from the center in terms of autonomy and power. Okay, that's with respect to the federalism, which is asymmetric. Then, to conclude this discussion, we, in the modern day context, especially with the formation of Niti Aayog, we have been focusing on competitive federalism. Competition, healthy, constructive, of course. So, Niti Aayog basically talks about that healthy competitive federalism where it wants to create a sense of competition amongst the states to extract the best possible performance. Like when we have the Saturday morning 10 questions quiz, what is that? Why do I show the leaderboard? To appreciate people who are studying, to bring a sense of competitive environment amongst others, right? So that is the whole purpose. I mean, that is my purpose actually, to push you into studying and revising more. So that's it. So Niti Aayog is the body which is trying to create an environment of competition, a constructive competition in the country. Then also, when the center gives money to states to perform its functions, states are independent in how they spend the money. I mean, some states can simply say, I'll spend the money in subsidies. Other states may refuse to give subsidies. So these things will keep on changing, right? So the freedom to plan expenditure based on its priorities. That is what is competitive federalism, right? So some states may choose to build upon infrastructure. Some states may choose to spend money on subsidies. Some state governments may be involved in corruption. It is up to you, right? So again, competition. And then various ministries, various organizations come up with various rankings to promote a healthy environment. For example, you have especially this DARPG. What is DARPG? Department of Administrative Reforms and Public Grievances. DARPG. You can Google search for the full form. Second ARC was given by DARPG only. It has come up with an index called Good Governance Index. Or we have something called NESDA. Basically, it is the e-governance index. What is NESDA? National E-Governance Service Delivery Assessment. Then we have rankings like ease of doing business ranking. We have Swachh Bharat Abhiyan rankings, right? Aspirational district rankings. Then we also rank states based on how they have performed or to what level have they achieved the sustainable development goals. So all these things are there with respect to the states to create a healthy sense of competition amongst them, right? So that is all as far as types of federalism is concerned. Now coming to the main point here. All the slides you see here, right from this one, slide number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Mug up all the points. No, I mean it. If I ask you unitary features, you should be able to recite all the unitary features. If I ask you federal features, you should be able to recite all the federal features. If you can mug up these points, you will be able to address a lot of questions. In fact, almost every kind of question that may come from center-state relations, right? So please mug up these slides. Just read them over the next 10-15 days daily for just 10-15 minutes, and you will be able to mug up all these points. Extremely important. Okay. So that's there with respect to the various types of federalism. Solve a question came in 2021, that is last year only. Oh. 30 seconds should be sufficient. Let me give 45 seconds or 40 seconds. Done. Fundamental rights are enforceable by courts of law. Let me move from here. Great. 53% have marked the correct answer. Which of the following in Indian polity is an essential feature that indicates federal character? Let's come here. Independence of judiciary. Independence of judiciary has been safeguarded. Let's look at other points. Union legislature has elected representatives from constituent unit. Lok Sabha. Our entire country is divided into 543 units, all of which send one MP. Is that a federal feature? Of course not. Rajya Sabha is a federal feature, not Lok Sabha. Even in countries like UK, which are unitary countries or which have a unitary form, how are people elected in the parliament? The entire country is divided into constituencies. That's it. So this cannot be a federal feature. It can exist in both the countries or both types of countries. Then union cabinet can have elected representatives from regional parties. Makes no sense for federalism. The fundamental rights are enforceable by the courts of law. That has got nothing to do with federalism. It is more to do with independence of judiciary. This has got more to do with upholding the rights of people, rule of law. That's it. So A is the right answer. Now coming to part 11 of the Indian Constitution, center-state relations. So now we'll be discussing the part 11, center-state relations, and what better photograph than two of the best friends amongst politicians in our country, Narendra Modi and Mamata Banerjee, to delve deeper on center-state relations. Okay. First up, we look into legislative relations. See, we have been discussing this quasi-federal nature of our government or of our country, where we see that the center is stronger on various counts, but don't ever feel that states are some kind of delegates of center. Because why I say this is both center and states, they draw their power, they derive their power from the same source, that is a constitution. So that feeling should not be there that, oh, states are at the lower level, right? Well, after all, they also draw power, they also draw legitimacy from the same source, that is a constitution. Anyway, starting with Article 245. What is Article 245? Extraterritorial legislation. States, when they make laws, the laws are applicable only within the territory of the state, the boundary of the state. But center can make laws which can also be applicable even outside the boundary of the center. For example, all the embassies we have in various countries, wherever you go as a government official, as an Indian official, or as an Indian citizen, you're always bound by the central government laws, right? So, center has a power to make laws which exist or which continue to work have effect even outside the boundary of that country. States' powers are limited to their boundaries only. Then Article 246, it is the seventh schedule. What is seventh schedule? Three lists: union list, state list, concurrent list. Then Article 248, this is the restitutory powers. Who controls it? Controlled by center. Then Article 249. I don't think I need to explain Article 249 now, because we have had a healthy discussion on 249. Rajya Sabha authorizes the parliament to make laws on state list subject in national interest. Approval is done by Rajya Sabha by 2/3 present and voting, and then this permission is for 1 year, and the parliament can make laws, but those laws will cease to exist 6 months after the end of permission, right? This is Article 249. Article 250, it says that the parliament can make laws on stateless subjects during national emergency. We saw this today only. Now, apart from this, there are some other interesting provisions, like if today Tamil Nadu and Kerala, they together jointly pass a resolution saying that we want the center to make laws on police matters for both these states, then the center will get the power to make laws on both these states. Are you clear? Extremely important. Center has no power to make laws on stateless subjects normally. But if two or more states pass a proposal and say, yes, yes, we want center to make laws for us, then the center can make laws on those topics. This is one more way, the third way in which the center can make laws on stateless subjects. Parliament can legislate on matter of state list if two or more states agree. A simple example is states like Sikkim, Arunachal, Himachal, Mizoram. So, just to help you understand, there is a subject under state list which is called public health. Entry number 6. Okay. Now, a few years back in 2010, some of the states like Sikkim, Arunachal, Himachal, etc., they passed a law, or they agreed that we want the center to make laws on this topic, hospitals, for us. So these four states collectively gave the power to the center, and center passed a law. In this example only, that law was called clinical establishments. Clinical Establishments Registration and Regulation Act. Regulation Act 2010. So this was passed, and the states which were on board were Arunachal, Sikkim, Mizoram, even Himachal Pradesh. Okay, these states passed this proposal. So this is also one way in which center can make laws on stateless subjects. Yes. And lastly, Article 253. See, center signs treaties, etc., takes part in conventions, etc., ratifying those conventions. And sometimes when you take part in some convention, etc., you also have the opportunity to or you rather have the obligation to perform or fulfill some kind of criteria, meet some standards. For example, back in 2005, India took part in a UN convention. Classic example. There was a UN convention against corruption. So India was also a participant and a signatory. So India participated and signed this convention as a member. Now, under this convention, all the member countries were obligated to create an ombudsman, some kind of body which will look into any allegation of corruption against the prime minister, the senior ministers, etc. And that is why the central government brought what is called the Lokpal and Lokayukt Act of 2013, right? So this is how the center got the authority to make a Lokayukt. See, Lokpal is a body, we'll discuss this under governance. Lokpal is the body which looks into any allegation of corruption against central government employee, okay, or against central government servants like the prime minister, like the union ministers, like MPs, and all the central government employees. Lokayukt is a body which is formed at the state level, which looks into allegations of corruption, sometimes public grievances, of lack of performance of state level officials, chief minister, state ministers, MLAs, MLCs, etc. Center could get the power to make laws on Lokayukt because Center was a signatory of an international convention called UN Convention Against Corruption. So sometimes to give effect to international treaties and agreements, center can make laws on those state list subjects. Okay. So these are four ways in which center is allowed to make laws on state list subjects. So let's come back here now and add two more articles here. So now we know two more articles. Article 252, Article 253. Please know all these four articles, very important because this is a very unique situation that center is making laws on state list subjects. Okay. Now, just to give you Sarkariya Commission recommendations. So this Sarkariya Commission was a commission formed in 1983. I think we have discussed this earlier also, right? And this commission 1983 to 88 gave 247 recommendations. 247. This was chaired by one Ranjit Singh Sarkaria and Justice Ranjit Singh Sarkaria, who is a former Supreme Court judge. He later on became the Press Council chairman also from I think 1989 to 95. And he was a judge in the Supreme Court from 1973 to 81. But sadly, he was a judge when Vayu Chanchud was a judge, so could not get a chance to be the Chief Justice. Anyway, other members of the commission included people like Sivaraman, S.R. Sen, Rama Subramaniam, all these people. This is not important. Huh. For your state PCS could be important. Like recently, I think last year, in one state PCS. What is that? Telangana state PCS. All those who are from Telangana, they would know that in Telangana state PCS, a question was asked wherein they asked on member which of the following person was a member of Sarkariya Commission, right? So anybody from Telangana here in the class? Nobody. Oh, okay. We have some people. I hope others are awake, right? So that's also important. Only one person from Telangana. So some Sarkariya Commission recommendations. Uh, First up, Sarkariya Commission said that, see, in 1950 we had a lot of these topics which we did not know of, right? And hence, over a period of time, the residuary powers have become very large. There are a lot of topics which are not mentioned in any list. In 1985-86 that we're talking about, now the center has come to know of all these topics. If any topic is not mentioned in any list and that topic relates to taxation, then center, you keep the power, no problem. But otherwise, why don't you place that topic in the concurrent list? Let the states also make recommendations, right? So residuary powers with respect to taxation should remain with center, while other kind of powers which are there, they should be sent to concurrent list. Let the states also make laws. Let them also have the fun. Why only center should have all the fun? That's it. Then, when these commissions are formed, these commissions always ask the states also that what is your problem? I have been given the task to resolve dispute between center and states, bring a cordial environment in the country. So please tell me, what are your problems? And that is what became the problem for Sarkariya Commission. When it asked the states, some states went overboard only, right? It's like when your father or mother will ask you, what do you want for your birthday? You say iPhone 14 Pro Max, 1 TB, and then a tight slap on your face. So please understand what to ask also. Same thing happened here. Some states started saying, states like Punjab, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, these states said, abolish all the lists. What is this list and all? No list. Only one list, state list. And after that, just 4 topics with the center. Those topics should be defense, communication, banking, and foreign affairs. That's it. That is not banking, currency, and foreign affairs. Apart from this, every other topic should be in state list. Sarkariya Commission said, sir, I am asking you nicely and you are giving all these suggestions. So it said, forget it, my mistake. Then some states said, abolish concurrent list, transfer all the topics to state list. Sarkariya Commission said, it is bad. I wasted my time in asking the states. Sarkariya Commission said that, see, we cannot abolish concurrent list. That should be there. But center, you should understand that let the states in general have authority over concurrent list. Let them have the authority over the concurrent list under normal circumstances. Make laws on concurrent list only when some kind of national uniformity is required. Otherwise, don't interfere. Let the states enjoy concurrent list also. But when you feel there is too much of difference on the topics, then interfere and make a law. Otherwise, let the states enjoy concurrent list subjects. And also, if you remember, there was an Article 200. Do you remember? Referential veto. The governor can reserve bills for the consideration of the president, right? Such bills will be sent to the president. The beauty of the situation is that even if the president sends back the bill and the state government passes the bill, right, then such bills need not be signed by the president, right? So this is the advantage of the president's position, that the state government cannot override your suspensive veto like the parliament can. But we found on a lot of occasions that when the state government bill was reserved for the center, for the president took no action, did not even send back the bill in the first case. Now, Sarkaria Commission said this is wrong. If the state government has passed a bill reserved for you and you feel there is something wrong in the bill, at least ask the state government to correct it. But if they don't correct it, they take no effort, they show no interest, then only should you, or if they don't make any change and give back the same kind of bill, don't sign it. But why are you preventing the states from at least having a relook? If you find some fault in the proposal, ask the states, please correct it. Don't randomly say that, no, no, I won't send the bill back only. So the Sarkaria Commission said needless reservation should be avoided firstly, and secondly, such bills should be disposed of in 14 months by the president. Meaning send it back. Don't keep it pending in the first case. It makes no sense. See, at the central level, pocket veto makes sense because if you send the bill back, you have to sign it. Suspensive veto. Dr. Kalam. At the state level, it makes no sense. You are not bound to sign the bill, even if the states don't appreciate your or don't incorporate your changes or suggestions. So send. Let's see what the states want. Okay. So the such bill should be disposed of in 4 months. Now, coming to the Panchi Commission. After a few years, in 2007, one more commission was formed called Panchi Commission. This commission was chaired by Mr. Panchi or Justice Panchi, Madan Mohan Panchi. He was the Chief Justice of India in 1998. And one unique thing about him was that when he was the Chief Justice of India, just before he was to be elevated as a Chief Justice, some MPs in the Lok Sabha were collecting signatures to give to the chairman notice of his removal. But in the meantime, he became the Chief Justice, and that notice idea was dropped by the MPs. And this commission gave 312 recommendations. It saw that Sarkaria Commission gave 247. I have to give more recommendations. So 312. Anyway, Panchi Commission firstly said, look at USA. So in USA, there are two houses. House of Representatives, just like Lok Sabha, and Senate, upper house. In the US Senate, even if you look at the House of Representatives, every state in USA has different number of Congress members. Okay. For example, if you take the example, say, of a state like California. California is the most populated state of USA, like UP of USA, I mean, in terms of population only. Okay. It has 53 members. A state like Nevada, only 4 members. State like Texas, 36 members in the HOR. Alaska, Montana, just 1. But irrespective of how many members you have in the lower house in the US Congress, every state has 2 members in the upper house. California, 2. Alaska, also 2. Texas, 2. Montana, also 2. So it does not really matter how many members you have in the lower house. Upper house, common membership. This is basically to ensure symmetry in federal features, right? So Sarkaria Commission said that, these larger states, they hijack all the power. Let us also help the smaller states in getting some kind of power. So we should transfer these things to smaller states also. They should also be appreciated, right? Anyway, so this was the Panchi Commission's recommendation pertaining to the what? Equality of representation of states in the Rajya Sabha, which was categorically rejected by the government. The government said, no, no, it's not possible. If you give equal representation to all the states, right? Sikkim has same MPs as UP, not justified. Arunachal has same MPs as Tamil Nadu, not justified. Then smaller states will gang up together and will keep on bypassing or keep on preventing legislations which can be beneficial to all the bigger states. So this is all with respect to the first recommendation. Anyway, it was rejected. Secondly, if you remember, we had also discussed that to be an MP of Rajya Sabha, all that is needed is that a person's name should be in the voter list of any parliamentary constituency anywhere in the country, right? And you can represent any other state also. I had said that this provision was modified in 2003 only. Panchi Commission said that change this modification. If you want to represent a state, you should be a voter in that state. Again, this is a stupid recommendation because the MPs were misusing the loophole. They would go to a state. Let's say I am from, let's assume I am from Kerala and I want to represent, say, Odisha. What will I do? I'll go to Odisha, get some kind of house on rent, get the rent document, and I'll show that now I am domiciled in Odisha, add my name in the voter list there. Name is added, my name is in the voter list in Odisha. Now I will represent Odisha in Rajya Sabha uselessly. Whether I am living there or not is of no concern. So anyway, there is no point. So this recommendation was also not accepted. Then what the Sarkariya Commission said must be 4 months. The same thing was said by Panchi Commission, 6 months. It said whenever the bills are reserved for the president by the governor, the president should send back the bill to the state legislature within 6 months. Their logic was, since state legislature is given 6 months to respond, the president should also be given 6 months to send back the bill. That's it. And lastly, it also said that, whenever you are making any law on a concurrent list subject center, you should always take the states on board. Don't make laws unilaterally on the concurrent list. Let the states also make laws, or at least comprehensively let the states be on board and then make laws, more of a cooperative atmosphere vis-a-vis the concurrent list subjects. So this was the Panchi Commission recommendation. Okay, so that's there. Now we have seen legislative, coming to administrative relations. So as far as the administrative relations are concerned, administrative relations or executive relations, they flow from the same line as the legislative. So first things first, Article 256, executive power of state should not violate laws passed by parliament. So when a law is there made by the parliament, the state government should not take any kind of action to violate a parliamentary law, number one. Number two, see, in our country, we have various aspects or elements of national importance. Railways. Railway is under central government. National highways, nuclear installations, military installations, cantonment areas, all these are under central government. But the problem is that central government may not always have the time, the staff, right, etc., to manage and maintain all these things. So there is an Article 257. These two are a part of the same article. 257. This article says, this is clause 2 and this is clause 3, says that the center can give binding instruction to the states to construct and maintain means of communication of national and military operation. So the center can give binding direction to the state government that please construct that particular nuclear station, construct that power grid, etc., and the states have to do it. Or center can give binding orders to also the states to protect the railways, and states will have to do it. Otherwise, you will see the situation which happens in Bihar. People stole railway track only. I mean, should we find this funny or should we find this dangerous? That people stole the entire railway track, right? Bridges are stolen, railway tracks are stolen. What is happening? Anyway, so the whole point here is that the center can give orders to the states to manage and maintain all these things, even construct. But the problem is, if I have to construct the railways or manage the railway tracks, I need money, right? Center, you have all the resources. You give me money, or how will I construct these things? How will I maintain these things? So, of course, don't worry, money will be given by the center. Center, if they ask you to perform all these activities, center to provide funds. Now, when the center provides funds and those funds are inadequate, let's say center says, please maintain the entire railway in Andhra Pradesh. Take 10 rupees, enjoy, maintain. From 10 rupees, you cannot maintain all the entire railway tracks and all. So, if you feel that this money is insufficient, if state or states find the funds to be insufficient, then what can the state do? The state can approach the Supreme Court. Approach Supreme Court. Supreme Court will appoint a person called arbitrator. That arbitrator will look into the amount given by the center, will look into the task to be expected to be performed, and then find out the right amount. Decide of final amount. And this amount can't be questioned, right? So this is the procedure of funding the state governments with respect to any kind of task that the center wants the state governments to perform. Okay. Now, 3 articles, very important articles. Article 329 clause 2. What is this article? The center can give binding orders to the states to prepare schemes and programs for the welfare of scheduled tribes in the state. Let's read. The executive power of the union shall extend to the giving of directions to a state as to the drawing up and execution of schemes specified in the direction to be essential for the welfare of the scheduled tribes. So basically, central government can issue directions to the states to prepare schemes for the welfare of the scheduled tribes in the state. That has to be done. Number 2, Article 347. Let me explain this article first. So every state has an official language, yes or no? Official language. Andhra Pradesh, Telugu, Tamil Nadu, Tamil, etc. Now, let's say Tamil Nadu. The official language in Tamil Nadu is Tamil. But if in a small part of Tamil Nadu or a large group of people living here, these people, they have been watching too many South Korean rom-coms and dramas, those cringe-worthy rom-coms, etc. And they now have started speaking Korean only. They say, my life is Korean, my heart is Korean, and I will speak only Korean. I don't understand any other language. You please start governance in Korean also. We don't know. So they may approach the president and ask the president that, sir, you please tell the state government to also have administration in Korean language, at least for our area. That can also be done. So, on a demand being made in that behalf, the president may, if he is satisfied that a substantial proportion of population of a state desire the use of any language spoken by them to be recognized by that state, then the president can direct that such language shall also be officially recognized throughout that state or any part thereof. Okay, so in case, but the point is there should be substantial proportion of people. If 20 people get up and say, sir, we want to have Spanish as an official language also, please get lost. 10 people, we can't have an official language. If a large group of people believe that, oh, we speak a different language, we want that the state government should also run the administration in that particular language, then possible, of course. Then Article 350A. So you would also agree on one thing, which was also a part of our new education policy, that if you are taught, at least initially, in your mother tongue, the learning outcomes are way better, right? If kids are imparted education in their mother tongues, they can learn things quickly. And this is also a very unique way to protect somebody's culture or linguistic tradition. So, it shall be the endeavor of every state, effort, endeavor means effort, of every state and of every local authority within the state to do what? To provide adequate facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage of education to children belonging to linguistic minority groups. And the president may issue such direction to any state as he considers necessary or proper for securing the provisions of such facilities. So basically the idea is that state should provide for facilities for instruction in the mother tongue at the primary stage at least. See, for college and all, not possible. But at least at the primary stage, the state government can provide for education in mother tongue. And in case it is not happening or it is insufficient, then the center can also give directions to state, please do it. These are all areas where center can give directions to the states. Now coming to the issue of administrative relationship. So basically we have covered all these things. One is the abuse of Article 356. So frankly that abuse has come down now because of the SR Bommai judgment. So this is improved, has reduced due to SR Bommai 1994. So SR Bommai case actually said that we can restore the assembly, etc. So the state center now refrains from uselessly implementing president's rule. That's there. Then role of governors. So what is the role of governors here? I mean, if I ask you, you will remember all those governors of all those states where some non-BJP government is there. Why? Of course, because we know the governors have sometimes interfered in the effective functioning of the state. So states are not happy. And to resolve this problem, we need to have independent governors. So their appointment removal should be more independent, free from the central government's control. That's there. And lastly, you, people like you, IAS officers, IPS officers, Indian Forest Service officers, you are also a cause of confrontation. Constantly there has been a problem. Center-state conflict happens because of all India service management. States keep on saying, see, and please appreciate this argument also from the state's point of view. We have gone to people seeking their votes. People have chosen us. We are now the ones forming the government. We have a vision. We have some kind of idea on what this state should look like 5 years later. How will we translate this vision into reality? The bureaucracy. We can't go and perform. The bureaucracy should be under our control, which can help translate our vision into reality. But bureaucracy is always, uh, succumbing to the central control because you are the masters. If I try to extract some work from somebody, transfer them here and there, you call them on central deputation, and every bureaucrat wants to run to their parent state only, or wants to run to center only, right? That's there. In fact, see, there are a lot of arguments against all India services by the states. One such argument, center always says that all India services creates a sense of national unity. Somebody from Kerala goes and works in Tripura. Somebody from Odisha goes and works in Tamil Nadu. Oh, sense of unity. State government say there is no unity. You are forcing them to work. Every person who clears the exam, look at their preferences. Their first preference is their parent state only. And now we have seen this happening a lot. Spouse hunting in Lavasna. You find somebody who has been given your home state. Let's say you are from Madhya Pradesh. You are given, say, Karnataka as a state cadre. You find somebody who has been given MP as the state cadre. You fall in love with the person. Whether you fall in love or not, we don't know. And then you get married. Now you two are married. Now you tell the center, we are married. Please don't separate us. Please send me to Madhya Pradesh. And the center says, okay, go to MP. Sometimes center says, wait. Why will you go to MP? I'll send that person to Karnataka. Both of you enjoy in Karnataka. But that happens rarely. We have plenty of vacancies, so that's there. So states say, by you are talking about national unity, no IAS officer, IPS officer wants to willingly work in some other state. All of them want to work in their parent state only. That's the whole point. If you are born and brought up in some place in UP and you are an IAS officer or IPS officer in Tamil Nadu, what's the point? I mean, the real charm is working and harassing the people who you grew up with, right? So in your parent state, that's the whole point. Anyway, more on this in your governance classes. So these are three basic issues. Now, to improve upon the coordination between center and states, there is a provision for forming a body called Interstate Council, Article 263. This was there in the Constitution, that the president can set up an interstate council. It was finally set up in 1990, and that too on the recommendation of Sarkaria Commission. So on Sarkaria Commission recommendation, this particular interstate council was set up. Now look at the members. Prime Minister, CMs of all the states, 6 union ministers including Home Minister, and administrators of all the UTs are there. So this was with respect to the interstate council. So as far as this interstate council is concerned, see, frankly, this body was formed with a lot of pomp and show. Sarkari Commission said, create this body. This will solve all the disputes that you have, center and states fighting and all. Nothing happened. In fact, this body has remained defunct. Defunct means non-functional. Right from 1990, this body has only met 11 times. Last in 2016. Before that, 2006. So from 2006, in the last 17 years, only once has this body met. See, the problem with this body was all the CMs were given equal time to speak in the meeting. And the problem, see, understand this. A state like Sikkim has no interest personally in the problems of Tamil Nadu. A state like Bihar has nothing to do with the state like Kerala, and vice versa. My disputes as Tamil Nadu government are more with my neighboring states. Look at your own life also. Every year, hundreds of people clear the examination. Does it make any difference to you? No. But if your friend clears the examination, your neighbor clears the examination, then your life becomes hell made by your parents, etc. So we are impacted more by our neighbors, right? Not by some person living in a far-flung area. And in the meetings also, it was found that normally this democracy was being followed. So, in fact, in one meeting, Sikkim CM was given some time to speak, address his concerns, etc. After him was the turn of Tamil Nadu CM, and Jayalalitha was the CM. She was given the same amount of time to speak. After which she was interrupted. That's it. Time is over. So she said that how can you give me, who is managing a way bigger state with more problems, the same amount of time that you're allocating to a smaller state? So our problems are different at a different level, at a different scale. There cannot be an equality of sharing these problems. And she walked out of the meeting only. So that is also a reason why we have largely seen that this body is not functional. So, and also we already have a body called Zonal Council. So through the 7th Amendment Act and the States Reorganization Act 1956, we have formed this body called Zonal Council. So we have 5 zonal councils. The functions mentioned here for these 5 zonal councils. What is the function? Preventing development of acute center state consciousness. So basically these are the zonal councils. So we have all the neighboring states being made part of a zonal council. So we have Northern Zonal Council, Haryana, Himachal, all these states. Central Zonal Council, all these states. Eastern Zonal Council, all these states. Western Zonal Council, Southern Zonal Council. And what's the task? To ensure that the people of the area don't have too much of my state is everything, others go to hell. This extreme, acute, extreme sense of center versus state consciousness should not be there, right? Secondly, we also have to promote a habit of cooperative working and to give recommendation on how to improve center state and state disputes in general. The composition. So every zonal council will have home minister as the chairperson. The chairperson of every zonal council will be the home minister of the country, right? So currently Mr. Amit Shah, don't think that Amit Shah is the person who is the chairperson of all the zonal councils forever. Currently he is the home minister, so he is the chairperson. Then CMs of the state plus 2 other ministers from states, those 2 people. Then admins of all the UTs. Now, chairperson is going to be the home minister, but who will be the vice chairperson? So basically, think of this example. Say Southern Zonal Council. This year, the chairperson will be CM of Andhra Pradesh. Next year, chairperson will be CM of Karnataka. Next year, CM of Kerala, so on and so forth, by rotation. Vice chairperson will be the chief minister of the member states. So this is with respect to the zonal council. Apart from it, every zonal council will also have advisors plus advisors. So in every state, you have the senior most IS officer who are called chief secretaries. So chief secretaries of the member states will be the advisors. Okay. This was for zonal council. Now, northeastern states were excluded. So in 1971, we passed a separate law called NEC Act 1971 and set up a separate council called Northeastern Council for the northeastern states. Members were Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, and Sikkim. 7 sister states and Sikkim. And here, the chairperson is nominated by the president, but currently Amit Shah or the home minister is the chairperson of Northeastern Council as well. Members, all the CMs and all the governors of all these 8 states. Why governors also? because in these states governors have lot of additional responsibilities, right? So that is why the Northeastern Council has this slight edge in terms of the membership, where governors also are members in Northeastern Council, but governors are not members in other zonal councils. Okay, that's all as far as administrative relationship is concerned. Okay, let's take a break now. After the break, we look into the financial relations and we'll be done, and we'll discuss, begin our discussion on fundamental rights. Break, please. Be back at break till 5. Okay, take 5:35. No problem. Full enjoyment of leisure period. Okay, break, please, guys.